It's time to check your money with Mike Jennings, wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Mike Jennings, what's good, my brother?
Yes, sir. How you doing, George? I'm good.
Yeah, you ready? Getting
I'm
close.
eh, every week we're getting close, it would seem, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, we're getting ready. So like I don't know, kind of like just putting I guess we're really in the nesting part of everything, right? So definitely spending most of our time at home and making sure we got everything we need and putting the final touches on this and that.
Yes.
But it's good. It's good.
My,
We're excited still.
Mike and his lovely bride are expecting a baby any day now. And so this is
Literally
our
any day.
check-in every week, to see where we are.
hmm
So
Yeah, it's funny. It's he uh he definitely recognizes me, so I can go up to her belly and then I can talk, and he just gets the breakdancing in there. So
ha, 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 ha. Oh, listen to you. You already a proud papa.
for sure, for sure. That's my little man right there.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this week, I was sort of like looking through topics to see what we wanted to discuss. I mean, there's always something going on, right, as far as headlines, but I kind of wanted to talk about something that is, I guess, a little bit more immediately impactful or something like that. And I came across this concept or this idea. It's not a novel concept, or it's not a new thing, but it's probably something that we all sort of experience or have experienced, but never really put it into like a sort of framing, right?
Yeah.
And what that thing is the cost of being broke, right?
Well, wow.
Now, see, you make that. When you hear that, George, what comes to mind? What do you think of when you hear that?
Well, see, now this is kind of I'm cheating because because um Vicky has taught me, right?
Mm.
That broke now I might get the definitions confused, but did you ask me what broke is? Did you just ask me that?
No, you know what? But that's probably a good idea. That's what, I know we all sort of have this understanding of each other, right? But maybe some people out there that may not necessarily know what broke means, right? So broke doesn't mean that you're like have nothing at all, right? It
Right,
just
right,
means
right.
for the moment, if I look at my account, ain't really nothing I could do with it
Right.
in a
That
minute.
okay. See, this is what Vicky used to tell me, right? Poor is without resources, broke is that's the way I understood it. It's like you don't say you're poor, say you're broke, because poor means you don't have resources without
hmm
resources. That's how she taught me. So you tell me.
There you go. I mean that makes sense. I mean that's how I understand it. That's how you understand it. So I mean, yeah, it's I mean, I'm sure the people out there listening, you probably well, it's Sunday, so you're not on the way to work. Some, most of you, but you can still have a job. You still get paid for your job every 2 weeks or every week, however many times you get paid. But you may find that, before that next paycheck, you probably used up all your money, right? And we know that in our previous discussions that upwards of 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means a lot of us out there are in that predicament of sort of running out of money or, using up all of our money before our next paycheck hits. And, however much time that is varies for everyone. Hopefully it's not that much, but I mean, yeah, that's the situation that many people find themselves in. And there's a lot of things that are in place in our society and our financial systems that work to, whether directly or indirectly, penalize people for not having money at these certain times. And some of these things, or a lot of these things, they can occur in patterns, right? Whether it's the same time of the month or at a certain thing. So, what that means is that they build up over time, all these little fees and hidden costs and things like that. They build up over time and essentially can lead people um, to being just stuck in whatever financial position they are in, with no upward momentum of, getting more towards financial independence. So, that's really the idea of our discussion today. So, how about it? How about we just discuss that for the listeners out there today? Hopefully, it resonates for some of them out there.
I think we got a good shot at. Let's go.
All right, all right. So, what are just some of these things, right? When I talk of cost of being broke, some of these hidden costs or costs that we kind of just some of us we might just sort of we see it and it's like negligible for us or we just tend to not care after a certain while, right? Banking fees is a big one. That's one that many of us out there have, I'm sure, have experienced. It's one thing to not have enough money in your account to start with. If you're trying to get something, trying to make a little purchase, whether it's big or small. But to sort of get hit with an overdraft or non-sufficient funds fee on top of that can definitely send some people over the edge. I mean, say it was like the day before payday or a couple days before payday, right? And you had close to nothing in your account, nothing that you can really, do something with. Um, you know, you probably know that there's nothing in your account and you're not going to take that card out of your pocket when you go about your day-to-day business. But then all of a sudden that $5 or $10 subscription you forgot was coming out and it comes up and it gets charged, right? So now that $5 or $10 subscription just turned into a 35 or $45 subscription for
Absolutely.
the month, right? These fees are a huge part of income for banks. The Consumer Financial Protection Board, CFPB, estimated that from 2015 to 2019, banks made between 11 to 12 billion per year just off of those fees alone. Um, and that did decline in the last few years following 2019 or they got as low as 5 billion in 2024, right? But again, 5 billion in revenue for these banks for these overdraft fees, meaning you're penalizing people for not even or making a purchase or even trying to make a purchase and you're slapping another fee on top of it. Like it's almost insulting when you think about it. Um, and the CFPB, they wanted to cap these fees at 5%. I'm not sure if we spoke of that. Actually, it was probably at the end of 2023 when they were doing that.
Hmm.
Um, that would have gone into effect last October 2025, but Trump overturned that rule in early 2025. So now again, banks are free to continue doing what they're doing, right? And their fees can average 35% every time, right? So imagine not just one subscription coming out, but two things coming out of your account. Now you got two separate fees, right? So now that's an extra 75, 80, $90 coming out for two things that you didn't even have the money to pay for in the first place, right? A lot of other things with banks are a lot of them have monthly or maintenance fees, things like that. If you can't maintain certain balances, check cashing services, ATM fees, a lot of different things. So, um, you really have to be cognizant of not only what is in your account, but what will happen to your account if something sort of comes out of there, right? So we can talk about certain ways to curb that a little bit later on. But let's get into some of these other costs, right? Credit score, I guess the credit score trap, how it's described sometimes. We've discussed credit a lot on here, I'm pretty sure. And we know that people out there shouldn't be borrowing or using more credit than they can handle. I think we've discussed that enough. We've told the people about that enough. And there are two big reasons as to why those utilizing credit need to make sure that they can definitely keep up with it. And the first one, just like with banking, are the fees, right? So making less than minimum payments or not making a payment at all can mean getting late fees on top of that payment that you need to make. Some banks or some the bank or credit services, they'll just tack on the next payment to you. So now you got to make a double payment
Right.
just by the time the next month comes around. Um, Second reason you definitely want to keep up with your credit is your credit score. George, like I said, we talked about this stuff. What's something that is sort of indicative of, or something that can come of having a not so great credit score?
High interest rates.
Absolutely. That's like one of the
Well, like
big
if you're buying a car or if you're buying even credit card, high interest rates.
exactly almost like for almost everything, right?
Everything.
Insurance, right? A lower score usually means higher insurance premiums, your car, your rentals insurance, all of your different
Yeah.
insurances. Um,
Uh,
Security deposits for different things, right? People
or
tend to
inability to rent an apartment
exactly
because of
exactly
right.
difficulty in renting apartments, right? And that could lead to people um, not only just having limited housing choices, but now you could be potentially in more expensive areas overall or in more dangerous areas overall. Um, Lower credit score, like you said, a higher interest rates, and that's on all your different loans where you have a higher interest rate. So now you're paying hundreds to thousands more on something annually than you would if you would have had a better score. I mean, just the inability to get loans at all. So that can lead to people, looking for less favorable options than what they need in the first place, right? It's one thing to uh, get sort of bad terms on a car loan or something like that. But having a score so low that you can't even get that, that means what? Now you can't have your own transportation and get to where you need to be in certain things. So it all trickles down into other different problems as well. Uh, Buying in bulk. I think I discussed this before. And we certainly discussed groceries and things like that a lot last year, especially with all the tariff talk that was going on and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. I know I definitely mentioned that I was going to start using wholesale clubs over grocery stores and believing that that could have a big impact. And let me tell you, well, actually, my wife can tell you, you can find me down at the Costco quite often. And, and I get on her about buying just big things. Sometimes she'll do some grocery shopping or get something delivered, and I'm like, now why'd you get this? It's why buy the six pack of Downy paper towels for $20 at Walmart when you can get the 12 pack of premium paper towels for $22 at Costco, right? It's these things that we use very often and buy constantly because we use it very often. I think it would be very beneficial for most people to sort of buy those things in bulk rather than just going every other week or every 2 weeks to keep buying the same thing and spending more on less. Other cost of being broke, cost of emergencies, right? We talking about cars. What happens if your car needs repairs, right?
Right.
So now, you know, maybe that issue that you had was like $200. If you if you don't have the money to pay that, and you want to keep driving that car, now your manifold pressure is off the charts, and blew your engine. Now your transmission now, so now that 200 problem with your wheel bearings just became a $2,000 problem with your transmission. Um, Cost of buying cheap, right? Many people can't afford certain items that we need of a higher or a median quality, and so what's the option, right? They buy cheaper alternatives
Mm-hmm.
of lower quality items that typically now you have to replace that more often, right? Um, you know, think of certain things. It could be a pair of shoes, different clothes, your coffee machine you use every morning. If that coffee machine keeps breaking down and you need your coffee in the morning, you gotta keep paying for a new coffee maker instead of just getting that $150 Keurig or Nespresso machine. Yeah, I'm putting that out there for my wife. Hope she hears this. I'm tired of that old Keurig, baby. We got to get that. Get something different. Multiple problems as far as a cost that can come from not even just money wise, but also time wise, right? We spoke of having your own car and having a workable car. Um, People that use are the people that take the bus instead of holding the car. Now you're spending more time traveling versus getting from point A to point B. That can limit other things. That can limit your job opportunities. You can't take time off of work to shop around for different things. Um, Sometimes you may have to go and pay bills in person rather than just paying it off your phone or somewhere more accessible. So now you're spending more time doing things to take care of things that are necessary versus just having the access and the mobility to go and get things done and have more time to yourself, right? Uh, Again, emergency fund. Probably sort of non-existent for people in
Right.
these situations, which is a whole other thing, right? So now if something were to happen to you and maybe you have to cover a medical expense or maybe a veterinarian bill for the people that have pets out there, now that has to go on a credit card, that has much higher interest rate than having just insurance for something like that, or an emergency fund that you can spend from. So so many problems to get through. Try to curb some of these. There's a lot of examples on here. Um, so for your banking, let's talk about the problems. Let's talk about some of the solutions that we can sort of
Yay.
get to for
We
them.
like solutions.
And again, these are not one size fits all. So, take that with a grain of salt. But I mean, all the banking things, right? Try to find free checking accounts. They exist out there. Like some of these online banks and or certain credit unions. I believe Credit One, not Credit One, Capital One, sorry. Capital
Mm,
One, I believe they have a fee friendly or a non-fee sort of bank account that you can have. So there's an option. One thing is that comes with these banks that charge these fees is that they also often have something that's called overdraft protection.
right.
Now, this is sort of a double-edged sword, right? Um, Having overdraft protection on your account, if your account is doesn't have enough to cover the purchase, then overdraft protection can pull funds from a savings account that's attached to the bank or a line of credit that's within the bank as well, which is good unless you don't have anything in your savings
Right.
or
Right.
or you don't have that line of credit. So now you're back at square one with having to pay that overdraft fee for that purchase. Try turning that off and you have to go through your bank. Every bank is different in how they do that. Some banks, if you turn off the overdraft protection, then when that purchase tries to come through, it'll just decline it rather than letting
Right.
it go through and trying to pull from another source, and then now you back with that fee. So it's better to have that purchase just decline than to have it come out and now you have to tack on another $35 average fee on that, right?
Yeah.
Let it decline. Just let it decline. Make a plan to pay down your debts. I know I think we discussed the snowball method on here. That's a very popular one. So you focus on one at a time, paying off those smaller debts or smaller loans that typically smaller ones come with a higher interest rate, like your credit cards, and then moving on to the larger debts, so that give you that momentum, give you that confidence that you're actually paying off your debts than just sort of managing and staying in the same spot, right? Also, along with make sure you keep those minimum payments as well, and that will increase your credit score over time. Um, some people may benefit from building credit with, secured credit cards or similar options. Let me tell you, do not. Let me tap the mic for the people out there. Do not pay anybody calling themselves a credit guru, a credit cleaner, credit repair person, whatever. Whatever they claim that they can do for you, more than likely you can do it for yourself without having to give anybody else your good
True.
US American dollars. Community resources. If there's one thing I've learned, It is that if you have a problem, there is there's a nonprofit out there for you to address it. And this is CNY, so there's probably like three or four that all do the same thing for each issue. So use your community resources to your advantage. If you're having a bit more trouble getting a handle on all of these fees that you keep seeing constantly, then instead of working on that emergency fund, which you still be working on, which you should be working on, work just work on a savings for those fees. If you know you usually get $50 to $75 in extra fees every month, just put away $50 or $75 every month so that put it in your savings. That could be your overdrive protection, right? Um, Sounds reductive, saving for fees that you shouldn't be coming out in the first place. But this is finance. It's all mentality wise. So whatever works for you, if it works for you, good. If you're having or any problem with your bank, call the bank and see what option that they have. Talk to somebody. Because again, these are very common issues and it's different for each bank and each issue. So talk to somebody, talk to a human, don't talk to the robots and see what you can do. And if they don't have the option for you, then consider switching banks, right? Um, Now we only have so much time, so obviously we can't address everything on here, but the point of this discussion is that there's very little wiggle room to find comfort in being broke and living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
But the majority of us Americans do it. So, we have so little time on this earth to enjoy what truly matters in life. So we need to do what we can do to put ourselves in better positions. Like I said before, none of these suggestions are one size fits all. You have to evaluate what makes sense for your situation and come up with a plan to get started on. Um, so that those small steps, whatever steps you choose to implement, they all start adding up, getting you closer to financial independence and overall less stress, right? The good thing is you do not have to do all of that on your own. So you can give your friendly neighborhood advisor a call at 315-748-5540. Again, that's 315-748-5540. Or you can send me an email at michael.jennings@brackensfsn.com.
Mike Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial member SIPC. He is your friendly neighborhood advisor.